Welcome back to episode 2 of the ModernPreneur Podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about pitfalls, obstacles, overcoming fear, anxiety of being an entrepreneur, and we're going to just jump right into it. So thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so
Obstacles, fear, anxiety, the pitfalls, all the fun stuff of being an entrepreneur.
it is
Where
the fun stuff.
do we begin?
We're going to share some of our stories, obviously, but like the biggest thing, which we can open with a quote, which we're going to do today.
Drop some knowledge.
Fail fast, fail forward, and fail better. That's like something that we firmly believe in. And we don't necessarily look at failure as failure. We look at failure as getting one step closer to success.
Right.
So that is something that we firmly believe in, and it's something that kind of keeps us going day to day. As an entrepreneur, there's going to be pitfalls. There's going to be things that come in your way. You never know what's coming down the pipeline,
Right.
Especially in today's world. I mean, we made it through COVID. We thrived through COVID. And just with today's world, you just never know what's going to happen. So
Right.
what are some of our pitfalls that we
Yeah.
had gone through?
I would definitely say, like, going back to when we first started and kind of like coming off of what we talked about in the first episode is when we first started, we can talk about how, like, when I followed everybody and we weren't ready yet. It was kind of, we were just starting out, and I remember I went over to your house and I was in our Instagram. It was the first time I had been in our social guru Instagram. And she was like, go ahead and just do some engagement or whatever. So I went in and I just went ahead and followed everybody. That was every business in town, like everybody that we knew. And I remember she came out of the bathroom and she was just like, what did you do? And it was like, it was literally just this whole thing. And I remember you being so nervous, and I was nervous, but I honestly didn't think anything of it. I was just like, well, here we go, we're getting started.
And like from my perspective, I just saw all of a sudden, like, you did it correctly. Like, we started getting followers and people were like commenting, and then that to me was like so fucking terrifying.
Right.
That was literally like one of the scariest. Like,
Right.
I just got goosebumps thinking about it. Like, it was like, oh shit. And then on top of that, your brother, my husband, invited his whole friends list on Facebook to our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And this was
Which is a lot. He has quite a few friends on there.
Which was like, there's no going back after that. You know what I mean? When we first started, I didn't even tell my mom about it, remember?
Right.
So like, it was kind of like I wanted to be successful before people knew, which was like, that's not the right mindset to be in. Like, you need to have faith in yourself and believe in yourself.
Right.
And when the people started commenting back or like engaging with us on Instagram after you had done that, I literally bawled my eyes out.
Right.
And I was like throwing up almost, because it was just like,
she was
so
upset with me. I remember it. Yeah.
That was like one of the few times I've ever been upset. But it's like, it's just goes to say that, like, you need to put yourself out there, and it is such a terrifying feeling, especially when
absolutely.
you like have like imposter syndrome, you know what I mean? Like, going from, which we talked about in episode 1, like a little bit of our backstories and stuff, and then just, we're just starting a business, and like it's something that we're super passionate about, but yet you like have that imposter syndrome and you don't feel like you belong yet, or especially when you're getting started, like you don't, you're unsure.
Right. And that everything has to be perfect.
Right.
That's
which
a big
is
thing.
Definitely something that, like, I know we both kind of struggle in
Oh,
a little bit.
absolutely. We're definitely both perfectionists. And I think, like, especially being creatives, I think every creative, no matter if you're an artist, a musician, or you're in marketing, no matter what it is, you're definitely your own worst critic.
100%.
And it can always be changed, or there can always be something that can be a little bit modified, or you could have just done this a little bit different.
Or a little bit better. But, like, those are also, like, the thoughts that will keep you from, like, progressing. You know what I mean? So, like, that's something that you kind of have to, like, give or take, which we've learned along the way, is like, it's not going to be perfect, but it's easier to just, like we said in episode 1, like, just get started, because once you like look, you can always look back and critique yourself and be like, oh my gosh, like, I could have done this better, this could have been this way, but in order to keep progressing, like, you have to keep going.
There has to be a line where you have to say, okay, this is good, like, I have to be able to walk away from this, I have to be able to just start, or just hit go.
100%. Or just press record.
Yeah, exactly. Just hit record. Just get started.
Yeah, so that I'd say that was one of the biggest obstacles is like when you first get started as an entrepreneur, you like have to get past that fear because you are putting yourself out there, which is something that can be super terrifying, especially let's say if you're in a small town, especially if you say you have a lot of eyeballs watching you, and especially with social media. Like once you open up an Instagram account, like it tells your friends of their friends, you know what I mean? So it's like you can't really go back, which is something that is definitely scary, but we definitely advise people to like jump right in to take that leap. We are also lucky because we do have each other, which there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are out there by themselves, which might even seem more terrifying because you are just like fully alone in that situation.
Which is a good point, yeah.
So I definitely think that like just knowing that like if you have faith in yourself, you know what you're going to do, like no matter what you do or put your energy towards, it's going to work out.
Right, absolutely. I think dipping into that a little bit too, because just touching on partnerships and like whether you're a solo entrepreneur or you're deciding to do this with, you're partnering with somebody and how important that is if you do decide to partner with somebody, that your interests align, that you can literally see yourself in 10 years and that relationship could is still there and is still good and it's someone that you want to partner with, because it's a huge thing. It is a marriage, it's a commitment, and you have to both be willing to put the work that it takes to go into it, and it comes with a lot of sacrifices too. Yep, you sacrifice a lot of nights, relationships, a lot of friendships, a lot of sacrifices and obstacles come along with that,
which also leads into something that we didn't even talk about when we were making our show notes today, but like what just happened on Monday. Like we were both like I'm about to go
what did just happen?
I'm about to go on maternity leave. I'll be working from home, but like and like you worked from home on Monday.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
absolutely.
like this whole thing where it's like as like two business owners that are both super passionate about what we do, we feel guilty if we work from home, but it's like or if we need to take a day or whatever it is, and it's like that is not a good mindset to be in because it's like we both lean on each other and we both deserve to do that, you know what I mean?
We put the work in to build,
and I don't have a problem with
lifestyle.
it and you don't have a problem with it, but like we then beat ourselves up because it's like, oh, like should I be doing better? And it's like that's always part of like the
holding yourself accountable. I think that's you're putting yourself a standard for yourself, and you're really it's like, okay, I need to be there, I have to show up for the team. It's like we put so many things on ourselves, I think, and it's just like finding that balance where you can take a step back and be like, okay, I am like, give yourself a little pat on the back, like everything is okay. Like it's like why are you feeling this way?
Guilty.
Like self-reflect. Why are you feeling this way?
It shouldn't, but it's because I love and respect you so much. So if like, and then same thing like for you is like we almost feel like we're letting each other down, but it's like, no, this is literally for the last 3.5 years, day in, day out, like 80, 90 hour work weeks, 17, 18 hour work days. Like we have literally built this so we could work from home if we want. And it's like, or if I'm going to have a baby, like
feeling guilty
I don't have to, you know what I mean? And it's like,
absolutely.
It's just crazy. And that's also like part of just being a modernpreneur is like, you are creating a life that you can do those things. And you also have to like reflect back and just know that you don't need to feel guilty, which I know balance is something we're going to get into in a little bit, but this is a perfect time to touch on it, is like having that work-life balance, which is something we're still working on.
What is that?
We're still working on.
It's like I can see it, but it's so far away.
Yeah, I know.
That's what it always feels like.
But at the same time, it's like, because we can put so much time and energy into something, but like if we're not healthy and if we're not healthy, we're not happy, and we're like pushing through on a day-to-day like at a crazy rate where like it could be taking a toll on our mental or our health, like that's not good for anybody.
No, because if your cup's not full, you can't fill others.
Right. And like it's like we think like you can be busy and you can be productive, and like we also firmly believe that like you can work a 5-hour work day, which it's not like we do this, but this is something that we do believe in. But like you can be just as productive in a 5-hour workday as you would in a 10-hour workday, but it's being strategic with your time and like picking the right like things to work on and all that good stuff. But like finding that balance of like, you know what, because we can work from anywhere. So when we go home at night, like, oh sure, like we might turn the TV on, we might like make dinner, but then we still always keep ourselves busy where it's like, oh, let's work on content for March, or
work
let's
just
work
doesn't stop.
But it's also like, no, we need to take time. We need to go outside. We need to like play with our dogs. Like we need to do those kinds of things. So trying to figure out, which again, we're still navigating.
Oh, absolutely.
But like work-life balance, especially in today's society, is so important, especially with like mental health and like just like, again, if you want to be, like believe in yourself and all of these different things, like you have to be consistent with your own mental.
Right. So, especially being young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's a huge thing. And I guess it is, with any age and any stage you're at with your entrepreneurial journey, it's a huge thing. But I think definitely that was a huge obstacle with us getting started, is like being young and having to prove ourselves and build trust in the community that we're in, and to be able to have our reputation and actually build on that so we can actually have traction and get somewhere. And that takes time.
Yep, absolutely. It takes time. It takes energy.
And
then it's like you're building up yourself while you're building up your craft. Like, again, it goes back to, like, not everything's going to be perfect. But, like, when you get started, you're always growing. You're always progressing. And you will, and we talked about this, too, a few minutes ago, is, like, in, like, the first 8 months, like, you feel unsure about yourself. Like, you don't feel as confident. But, like, now we're 3.5 years in, and it's like we're so confident about what we do. Like, we very much feel like we're professionals.
Right.
But
there's definitely still times, though, where they're like, is this good enough? You know what I mean? Even in that same breath. So,
but that's also, too, because we also, again, we keep growing, so we're going after, like, bigger and bigger clients. We're going after people that, like, we really want to work with. Like, and then instead of working with just everybody, you know what I mean? So as we grow, we want, like, the people that we work with to be some of, like, the coolest people, which
people that we really align with, and brands that we can really stand behind, which, again, it is just as like having the partnership. It's in this industry, it's the same. And I would say with anything that you're doing and you're partnering with, or your brand that you have, it's important to have that. My brain just completely went, I just lost my thought. It just like flew right out my brain. It was so good. I'll come back and it's gonna have the sauce. I will. I will. I don't know what, I just was looking into your eyes and it was gone.
Right, that happens, I know. Okay, so we talked about like our first like obstacle. We talked about so the challenge of
being a young entrepreneur, and building your reputation.
It is hard because it's like you have all these other entrepreneurs or business owners that are very established and they are older, and they look at you as kind of like a child. Like, it doesn't matter, like, if you're younger, you do get looked at that way.
It does not help when you're also like 5'1".
Right, we're both
very short.
4'11" and a half, and
it doesn't help.
No, so we're both very small and petite, and then we're young, and so like it's like you almost feel like you have to prove yourself more because you're like so young, you know what I mean? And you have to gain that trust even more. So like our first couple years, I mean, we were wearing like full suits. Like, we really were taking the seriousness to like a whole new level, which now I feel like we're a little more relaxed and like comfortable with like who we are. But like for a whole 2 years, like we were trying to be, which we are very professional, but we were proving ourselves to be as professional.
We wanted to portray that. We wanted to portray what we were trying to do. And I think that goes into the manifesting and trying to become that goal. See yourself manifest it and really
as your future self.
Operate as that person would.
Yeah. And which is something that we can always talk about too, is like, if you want to be somebody or something, like, you definitely need to do that. You have to think about like who you want to be in the future, and how does that person act, and how, like, what do they do, what do they say, like, what do they wear, and like fully emulating that to the fullest is going to get you to be that person.
Absolutely.
Which somebody that we've worked with, Mike McFall, he definitely has really like pushed that as well with like going after your moonshot and all those different things. But it is part of like growing, and it's also a part of creating your future. Like, you can create your future if you act as if you already are, which is something that we really believe in and we're super excited about. We'll do a whole podcast on that at some point or another.
Of course. No, definitely. And I also want to touch on, it's like doing like the sweat equity. Like when you're first getting started, and like doing like the free projects, and really like, and that goes into what we were just saying with having to prove yourself. And it's also like showing up, and it's like dressing, like in our minds, it's like we had to dress the part and we had to do these things. But it's also like putting your money where your mouth is, and really like, I'm going to do the work and I'm going to show you how hard I can work.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to get this done.
Because when you get started, you don't have a track record. You don't have a portfolio. You don't have people. You don't have recommendations. You don't have testimonials.
And you don't have money. You may have money. I think a lot of people, you may be lucky enough to start off and have a cushion or have something to get started with.
An investment.
But a lot of us, you start with absolutely nothing.
We started with like negative bank accounts, a 10-year-old laptop, and
mine was $150 HP laptop that was like this big, and I had it through college. Watched like Netflix on it every night. It was literally like, and it's still. I mean, that's how we got started. Your MacBook.
Yep. I mean, it's dinosaur now, but like, yeah, it's starting with what you have and just putting yourself out there, and then again, that could also lead into like competition also. But hold on, we'll get into that in just a second. I wanted to finish that thought with what was it? What did we say? What did you say?
The putting yourself out there and sweat equity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so sweat equity is huge. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that, like, you don't have a track record. You don't have a portfolio. You don't have recommendations or testimonials from clients. So, like, in order to gain that trust, like, you have to give shit away for free.
Right.
Like, you have to really try really hard. And there was a lot of times and a lot of clients, which we love, and we're grateful for everybody that we've ever worked with.
Yeah, everybody comes into your life. I always say it's a reason, a season, or a lesson. You know what I mean? So that's, or a lifetime. That's what it is. So that's, I firmly believe that.
Absolutely. And so, like, getting started and knowing that, like, I might have to put so much time and energy into this thing, especially if you don't have capital or you don't have different things. Like, the only way that you can really build that reputation or that trust within the community or whoever you're trying to work with is giving shit away for free. And we gave so much time away for free. But again, we also learned a lot along the way. So it was something that we had to do and we're grateful for. But
you gotta pay your dues in a way.
Yes. But to that point too, you have to know when the time is to, like, stop doing that, because you also are building your worth and you are building that portfolio, which we're going to talk a little bit about, like, our pricing and all that kinds of stuff. I guess that would be a perfect segue into that, is, like, at some point you have to know that, like, you are worth your price, and
and as you grow, your price grows, and that should be reflected in the work that you do and the pricing that you have,
and the value that you bring to those
people.
So again, and kudos to the people that start and they're super confident and they know their worth right off the bat. But, like, we both came from a place where, like, we were a little unsure about ourselves internally, so that also reflected in, like, our business, you know what I mean? And, like, okay, like imposter syndrome is a huge thing. Like, who do we think we are that we could,
like, proving it to yourself, like, almost
start who do we think we are that we could start a marketing company or a social media firm? Like, who the hell do we think we are? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's just something that, like, we struggled with, which we know a lot of people struggle with. But there are people that are confident and they can just, I mean, you can set your pricing high and don't look back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, God bless them.
But we had to work towards that. Like, our first social media management packages were like $250, $300 a month. You know what I mean? And now we're upwards of like $2,500, $5,000 a month. But, like, what we provide those clients with are way more value and way more knowledge and way more in-depth things than when we first started.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like knowing your pricing and knowing how to grow with your worth is really important.
Right. And we've gone through a few times where and that's a process too, and in finding that and in trying to work with your clients, no matter what it is navigating that conversation and also knowing your worth. But it's like, we've had to go through it a few times where it didn't work out. Like, when we changed our pricing and
then that didn't work out. We got told no like 10 times.
You got no. Yes, we got told no 100 times, I feel like. And it's just, you have to know how to navigate that and also stand strong in what you're selling. But working through that, because you don't want to, it's a process. It's a complete process.
Especially if you're in a service-based industry.
Right.
Too, because one of the biggest things is you are giving up your time to work with those people. So, like, and that's why, again,
and time is money.
Yes, and why we're so passionate about choosing who we work with right now. Like, we have probably turned away at least 16, 15 clients just in the last, like, 2 weeks, which it does make us like, oh man, like, we could grow our revenue, but at the same time, that's not what we're here for.
I want to help everybody, and it's just, you can't. It's not, we can't.
No, and we could, okay, sure, we could fill up our whole team's time, but, like, we also don't want to fill up their time with things that we're not 100% passionate about. And, like, if we want to work with freaking Gary Vee, like, we are going to go after Gary Vee. Like, those are the type of people that we're going to go after. Or, which was another pitfall, having a leap of faith or having confidence and also having it blow up in your face, that's also something that we've dealt with the whole Puma thing.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes. That was a learning experience.
So little backstory here. This was
probably year one.
Yeah, year one. Like probably right around year one. Like we're starting to get confident in ourselves. We're starting to be like, okay, which we've always known that we wanted to pick who we want to work with.
Right.
But it always
which is why it's important, the marriage, and it has to go both ways, and you have to stand behind the brands that you're promoting. Yep. Whether you're an influencer or marketer or branding company, no matter what you do, you have to stand behind them.
Absolutely. And so like we had this whole thought, which again, we're creative, so like we were creating a list of like clients that we wanted to work with, and how would we work with them, and what could we provide them with value, or why would they even listen to like what we had to say, kind of thing. And love LinkedIn. It's a great, powerful tool, and we were writing some executives at some really big companies. Puma was one.
Because you gotta do your cold reaches out. You gotta reach out, people. You gotta do it.
There. Like, success comes to people.
Hundreds a day.
Yep. And success comes to people who go out there and chase after it. And that was, again, when we started getting comfortable and we were like, okay, we know what we're doing right now. We're so sure in our product and our services. We're so sure in ourselves. And
but at that time, we were so just getting started. It's so funny to think back to, because it's just like you really do gotta like put your money where your mouth is. And we were there, and we were gonna do it whether we knew how to do it or not. It was 100%. Gonna happen.
And so and it's like, okay, so we were writing these people. We had the beautiful tailored message, but not only did we write a message to these executives at these big companies, we also pitched our ideas. So we were pitching ideas to some big companies.
Right.
One was Puma, and we got a response from this executive, and he was all in. He was like, yes, love this idea. It's great. Like, pretty much had almost a meeting on the books. And we fucked up so hard because we
spelt his name wrong.
Not even that. We called him the wrong name.
It was the wrong name. I wish we would have spelt his name wrong.
Yeah, wrong
that would have probably been a little better.
A little bit better.
Oh, did we learn a lesson?
Yep. So it's also, like, if you're going to be doing cold calls or you're going to be putting yourself out there, don't do it so rapidly with everybody at one time. Like, make sure you're being, like, super authentic and
the old
strategic.
Copy and paste is great, but make sure you're being purposeful and strategic with what you're doing. Yeah.
Yep. So that was definitely something that like was a dagger to the heart, because his response was, and we'll be fully honest with you guys, love your ideas. This was great, but we're not going to do business with somebody who couldn't even send us the right name in the intro of the message.
It's true though. It's so true.
So that was something where we got a little ahead of ourselves. We got a little too confident, and we kind of blew that one up a little bit. But that was definitely something that we learned from.
Oh,
and we will never, ever, ever call somebody the wrong name ever again.
Coming from someone who has a name that always gets pronounced wrong, I understand. I get it. So,
and I mean, if it was Paul.
I think his name was
Paul, and it was like Jim. Yeah. I mean, there's no relevance there at all. So we definitely messed that one up. Lesson learned for sure.
But don't give up. You can't just get discouraged. You got to keep going. Yep. You got to come up with the creative ideas.
You got to brush it off, and you got to keep going. So maybe one day we'll go back to this guy and ask him if he still wants to like do our idea.
Absolutely.
Because we were like almost there, which would have been so cool, but it wasn't the right timing. The stars weren't aligned, and here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's segue into another pitfall or obstacle that we had, which
I would definitely say an obstacle, because we're from a smaller community, and there wasn't a whole lot of people doing what we were doing when we first got started. Mm-hmm. It was kind of more like website design, and there was probably I think just one for the one social media company that was up here. Yep. And I think one thing that we have definitely, I wouldn't say struggled with, or just had more of like a harder time with it. Just I think it has to do also to being in a small community. Yeah. Because it's definitely different. Like when we travel, when we go places, we've definitely, the collaborations are different and the feelings are different, but it's just being in this industry and not having a very supportive community, or if
within your industry.
Right, absolutely. Yep. And it's just like, I feel like that's definitely been something that we've had to work through. Also being young and starting out when we did. And when we did start out, it's like you have to be smart too. Yes, you're trying to build your reputation and you're trying to get ahead. So you also make mistakes. There's a lot of mistakes that get made when you're doing that. And you don't always say yes to the right things. And you don't always, not that everything is a mistake that you do. I think you truly, everything is meant to happen the way it is, and you learn from those. And you truly just got to self-reflect and figure out what it is that you learned from that and then move past it.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think that we got a little ahead of ourselves too. It's like we kind of like it's not attached, but we worked with a lot of different people when we first started out, and I think that it kind of
that we thought would benefit us more in a way, but
which
really
it did. It definitely, and like we got a lot of information. I think we learned a lot. We got a lot of experience
for sure
out of the things that we did. But I think up here it's just so hard to have the community aspect in this industry that we have, and that's been a conflict that we've had.
Yeah, and so that also bleeds into like local competition, which we've always said. We've even said this to clients. We truly believe it, like in our core.
Well, like competition in general, anywhere.
Competition's
no matter
good.
What you're doing. Yeah, it's
it
great.
It makes them grow. It makes you grow. Like, and again, we've said this many times. There is enough business for everybody, even if in our small community, like there's enough
space for everyone too, no matter what you're doing.
100%. And so I think it obviously would be a little bit nicer if there was a little bit more supportive of a community within our industry, but that also has like put a little fire under us to like set the bar and to be the best and to like put our all into this. And we do have the leverage that we are younger, which also I think attracts, like, as much as we have felt like it's hindered us, it does also bring people to us because we are in like a young industry. Social media is young generations, you know what I mean? So, and then with our like backgrounds in marketing and the things that we were doing at the companies that we were doing previously or working at previously, like we have that expertise. Like we definitely like built that. But local competition is also like in a small community, it can be kind of hard. And that's stuff that's just being frank about it. I guess the hardest thing, which is always disheartening when it happens, but like if you're doing something great, you're going to get copied. And that is
absolutely.
Like all of the big influencers talk about that. If you're doing something great, you're going to get copied. And that's just the way that it is. And I think the 100%. First few times that it happened, whether if it was like verbatim or like our guru tips or like whatever it was that we created, slogans or whatever it was,
graphics, different things, like it's happened or
like, and it
gets frustrating, you get upset. I think you definitely the first few times you get upset. And definitely starting out too, you take things to heart, but it's like you have to remember that the more authentic you are, the more you are showing yourself and you're just being who you are, that resonates and that speaks through, and that means you're doing something right.
That's the point, is if you're setting that path and you're setting the bar and you are creating that whatever it may be that other people want to hop on, whether again thinking of like big influencers and stuff, like they always get copied. They always have people that are like taking their bits and doing different things. So for us, especially as a creative, it is it's a little disheartening, but it also needs to just reaffirm and reassure you as an entrepreneur that if somebody else is riding on your coattails or they're doing things that you've created, you are doing something that is so right, and it, like that should put more fire under your butt.
That should just reaffirm it. Should
But also like it always pushes us because we always want to be the best. You know what I mean? So like when those instances do happen,
I think it's human nature to get a little upset about it. I think that's just human nature. But remembering that's not
you're doing
the
it
end
right.
all say. Yeah, exactly. You're doing it right.
Yep, you're doing something.
You keep going.
Yep, 100%. And then again, just using that fuel as using that fuel for the fire to like keep going and keep being the best and keep raising the bar. And it's just kind of like this whole like thing where it's like, oh, okay, we set the bar. Oh, okay, now what are we gonna do? Kind of thing. And I think that's definitely, like, I'm a big competition person. Like, I also, like...
We don't believe in participation awards here.
No. And I definitely think that, like, for me personally, like, I definitely get juiced up or gassed up when it happens. So, like, it just makes me, like, full bore to the floor. Like, what are we doing? How are we going to be better? And I definitely, like, that's just...
That's a motivator for you.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
100%. Yeah.
So I definitely, again, just to like tie that topic up a little bit, is like you have to be like reassured in yourself and like affirm that like if this stuff is happening to you, like you are doing something right, and just to keep going and keep
and believing in yourself, because if you don't believe in it, If you don't believe in what you're selling or what you're promoting or what you're doing, why should anybody else?
100%. Oh, that's such a good, like, if you don't believe in yourself, you can't sell that to anybody. You know what I mean? And that's something that we've both, again, like, and I think it's also because just in our, like, early 20s now, like, mid-20s is, like, I'm going to be 29, but.
You're still young.
I know, but it's, like, so navigating this whole process as an entrepreneur in your 20s is, like, you're already going through, like, the life changes and the mental changes.
Finding yourself, going through life obstacles, absolutely.
So then tying that into, like,
learning to love yourself and all those things.
So it's, like, it's kind of cool because as an entrepreneur, you're, like, doing all of this at the same time where you are finding yourself and you are, like, pushing yourself and you are, like, you're going through that process naturally, but yet you're doing it with your business at the same time.
Right.
So it is a really good thing. But always just believing in yourself, and that goes back to, like, think as if you are, because if you do that, like, you're bringing that future into your own reality, which is something that is so important to do. Is, like, if you want to be someone or something, like, you have to emulate that and, like, look at what
how
does
would
a
that
successful
person act, what would they do,
Yeah.
how would they navigate this problem, and I completely agree.
Absolutely. And then that also goes into the whole, like, quote of, like, you attract what you think about most. Yeah, you attract what you think about, and that's like the biggest thing too. Is, like, you could be negative about all these pitfalls. You could be, like, so disheartened. You could quit. You could hate yourself. You could feel like let the imposter syndrome, like, overcome everything.
And there will always be people out there that will do that. Like, you will always, it doesn't no matter what you're putting out there, there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be somebody that is looking for likes on their comment or something. It doesn't matter what it is. There always going to be those people out there, and learning to tune them out.
Absolutely.
And ignore them
is, like, super important. Do you have that heater on?
Yeah.
Will you turn it on? I'm getting so
Woo!
hot.
It's like a sauna up in here.
I know. I'm like, holy, where is this heat coming from? I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. No, I'm good now. All right. But yeah. So then that also can, like, bleed into, like, through it all, through and through, like, there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be pitfalls. There's going to be things that come in your way. Yeah. There's going to be people that copy you. There's going to be all these different things.
Right.
But what does that lead into? And that's all, like, the success of things. That's, like, being able to look back at everything that you've done and, like, be so excited about where you're going and, like, excited about the future.
Yes.
And that leads to, like, the success and, like, the happy side of things. Because there's always a good side. Every action has an opposite to
100%.
Whatever reaction, whatever that quote is. I don't remember, like, who's that, Newton's law or some shit? I don't know.
I'm not even going to try to attempt it.
But every action has an opposite reaction.
Yeah, you're close. It sounds right. It sounds good.
Yeah, whatever that is. I'm going to let it go. But that is definitely, like, we believe in that. You know what I mean? So no matter what, we always talk about it in the office. Like, if something bad happens, or there's a fire that needs to be put out, or a client that we needed to do something better with, or whatever it was, we always know. Or, like, if we lost a client, if they couldn't afford our services, whatever the bad was, we sit there and we can stew on it for about 1 minute, and then we go, you know what? Through all this shit right now, there's some good shit that's coming.
Yeah, like, there's a reason that everything happens. Yep, it's ebbs and flows.
Yep, 100%.
And being patient, I think that is a huge thing too. Is so many entrepreneurs lack patience. Yep, and that is the secret sauce. That is the secret to life. That is the secret to everything, people. Right there. There it is. Like, patience and consistency, and that's all that it takes.
And to that point with consistency is, like, what is it? It's The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's a great book. Highly recommend it if you're an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
It's a really short read, but it's definitely the small things you do every day, those compound of small things every day, will lead you to something great. And if you don't do those things every single day, being consistent, you will probably not get to where you want to be. Right. And that's just something that's why we are where we are today, is because for the last 3.5 years, we have, like, kicked ass, and it's not like we wake up one day and we just don't feel like doing work. Like, it's like we wake up every day And regardless of how we're feeling, like, we push through those feelings. Like, obviously everybody has bad days, you know what I mean? But
absolutely. It's not every day is just like, go get them, push them, we're here, and we have all the energy, and like, I can make content, and I'm feeling great, and I love how I look. Like, those, it doesn't happen every day. There's a lot of hard days, and some days you just don't want to work, and you don't feel good, or you're in a horrible mood, and you need to kind of work through those things, and you're human.
But the moment that you put your face on, the moment that you walk through the door, and like, once we like
it's a mindset. It's like, you have to shift it and stop feeling sorry. You at some point you're allowed to have your minute. And then it has to shift.
Absolutely. And so I definitely think that, like, that's just the biggest thing, is like doing the small things every day, which that also leads into like starting your day off and doing some of the hardest shit first, because that like gets that shit out of the way, and then the day just goes better when you do that, you know what I mean? But small consistency every single day will help you get to that point, which is, again, why we are where we are today, is because we have pushed through those moments, and we have like, again, bad stuff happens. Like, that's just the way that it goes.
And there will be more obstacles, and there will be more challenges, and there will be more things that we're going to have to go through, and we'll have you guys along that journey with us, and you'll be able to learn and watch how we navigate through it. And our journey is just, it's while it has begun and it has been a few years, it's only just started.
That's just the craziest thing too. And I think like doing this podcast, which we're so excited about, this is going to give us the opportunity to show our marketing skills, to show our social media skills, to show who we are, which we've been wanting to do for so long, is because we can be these social media, like, I don't want to say influencers, but
we're not influencers. I think that's the big thing, is like, and I think there's it's hard because while this industry that we're in, it can be a negative industry. It can be, not in the marketing terms, the branding terms, but social media in a whole. And it's hard, and it's hard on a lot of people, and it can have a toll. And it's like, what you portray online is like being authentic, whether it is your personal account or your business account, is being authentic to yourself, and that will reflect. That's how you retain people. That's how you gain your following, and not straying from that.
And not being stuck to just social media, because I think that's one of the biggest things that we've struggled with for a long time, and that's why like maybe we haven't done as much content on the Social Guru For You page, is because we have done all of the content. We've done all of the tips. We've done all of the things. And I think the biggest thing right now is like, we want to show that we are more than just that.
We want to show our different interests and our different projects that we want to work on. It's more than just social media. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's like the biggest thing too, of just, again, why we're doing this, is because we have so much more value to bring, and we are just so excited to be able to offer that to an audience or whoever. But yeah,
if it's one person that we make a difference with, it's like all
we're
worth
winning.
It. This is always worth it.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
and then going back to also like the compound effect of things, like small decisions every day will get you to where you want to be. For instance, which was also kind of like a scary moment for us building our business, we started the business in 2019. That like in the late end. So I think like we actually got our LLC paperwork September 11th. I think.
It was September.
Yeah, and then 1 year later, after we were both working full time, because again, we didn't have an investor, we didn't have anything. We were both working full time, and then working full time on Guru when we were like after work. So like a lot of late nights, a lot of different things. Which we always look back and we laugh at like how that process went. But we both quit our jobs October 1st of 2020, which also, by the way, we went through all of COVID and all of that stuff.
Isn't it crazy to think of like what we were doing with our time?
I know.
Before we were.
It's like we were not productive, but we thought we were, like, it's like we were, like, obviously.
Yeah,
but
and like I wouldn't go to my shift until, like, I had my 3 jobs when I graduated school, but like it was like before that. I wouldn't go to my shift until like 4. And I would just watch TV all day.
Right. But we were also working on, like, we had a few clients, and like we had...
no, this is like before that. It's like what I did with it's literally like the hours in your day and how you're like managing your time and what you do and being productive.
How
it's
long
like,
the day can be.
I don't know what I don't know what was happening. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, when you are like... Because, like, same thing, like, when you get out of work, you watch TV. Like, when you're doing those things that are maybe not so productive, like... the day also can fly by. But like now as entrepreneurs, where we are like every hour on the hour we have like photo shoots, we have meetings, we have phone calls, we got like
there's something to do. Yeah.
But to think about how productive our days are now, and then again, even going back to like we can still have a productive day and then go home and like turn the TV on and it's like, wow, we have so much time in the day. You know what I mean? Compared to like either wasting the day away or whatever it was.
Right.
But those small things, like we both quit our job. We both quit our job October 1st
it was a September.
of 2020. And that's when we got the small office down by downtown. October 1st.
I feel like we were working a while before we got that.
1 year.
Okay. 1
whole year. Because we did the LLC paperwork came in like September 11th.
Right.
We officially started the business. And then from there through COVID, and then it was October 1st of 2020, we both quit our jobs. And that was just something that I want to touch on because it's very important to realize that, like, this just all goes into everything that we're talking about, like overcoming fear, believing in yourself. There's going to be struggles, but
there's going to be doubt.
But we were so sure at that point that, like, if we both put the time and the energy in, we were going to do something. There was no failure that was, like, possible. You know what I mean? Like, sure, small failures.
It's just not an option. It is not even
an option. It wasn't an option.
Yeah.
So when we both quit our jobs October 1st of 2020, we did that before we probably should have, like, financially. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We didn't have, like, backup income. We didn't have anything.
Nothing.
But we also knew that if we wanted to grow this thing, that there was no way that we could get to the point that we wanted to be at if we were still working our full-time jobs. And also things that, like Gary Vee has said, he said, like, why are you working full-time for somebody else if you're also doing a business? It's like you have to go all in, and we went all in probably before we should have. And if it wasn't for us doing that, like, I think we quadrupled the business within the first 3 months.
Yeah, but to go off of that, it's like, who's to say when you should go all in? You have to decide that, and you have to just make that decision. It might not ever be the right time for you to do something, you know? Just like you may...
that's a really good point. The timing will never be perfect.
Exactly.
Right. Yep.
And it's life.
Yep.
It's just like you're pregnant now, you're going to be having a family, and it's like, that's life.
That wasn't really the plan-ish, but again,
that's what happens. Yeah. And it's like, how do you, like, navigate through that and still, like, being busy and still working and doing all these things and being present in relationships and friendships? And it's like, it takes a lot. And that goes back to, like, the beginning where we said, like, you sacrifice things. And it's like getting to a point where it's like you work hard and you build. You're slowly building the life that you want. And every day with the little actions that you're getting closer and closer and closer. And one day you're going to be like, well, shit.
Look at that.
You know what I mean? Like, it's literally
so
like,
true.
you just gotta keep going.
Yep. But, like, that just also just reaffirms, like, everything that we've been talking about is going all in when you believe in yourself and you're ready for that. Again,
whether you're ready or not.
Right. It's scary. It's terrifying. Like, you think
I had to push her off the ledge.
Quitting our jobs at the same time, because we talked about that. We went back and forth. We were like, okay, like, maybe one of us should quit first, and then one person can work full time, and then the other person could, like, wait a couple months until, like, whatever. But it's like, no, like, we
need our full attention into this. And
between the two of us, again, in 3 months, we quadrupled our income, or revenue for the business, like that. Like, it was like something that happened so quickly, and then it was like from that moment, like, all of the momentum started kicking in, and, like, there's been a lot of big momentum, like timelines. Like, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's like whenever we go for that push, or we go all in, or we, like, it's like every 6 months we were like, okay, we're going all in again. And it's like, you never really,
it's like we feel like we've started over probably like 100 times.
Right. And, like, we've done, it's crazy. But, like, once you, again, go all in, doesn't matter what point you are in your business, but when you take that time and energy to, like, build the business, which is hard, which is also a point in itself of, like, we do work in the business still, and, like, we want to get to the point,
getting out of that,
and getting out of the day-to-day. But we are in a service-based industry. We want to take care of our clients. We want to provide the best for our clients, and we need to also, like, just lean on our team. And I think that's something that we're also learning is, like, we're not the best. Like, we can lean on people.
Yeah, and there's always room for improvement. Yep. Absolutely. In your opinion, we always say, literally 2 opinions are better than 1.
Yep. And just, again, just when are you going to go all in and build that momentum? Yeah, so I think, like, on, like, an end note, I think just going and just reaffirming everything that we talked about is, like, believing in yourself. Like, fail fast and fail forward, because, like, the more that you do that, again, failure is not a failure unless you look at it as that.
It's an obstacle.
It's an obstacle, and you can overcome it, and that only brings greater things to you because you're learning and you're growing. Right. If you're not learning and you're not growing, if you're not failing, like, you're not going to be successful.
No,
so, like,
you're stagnant. You're in the same place. You're
absolutely
not doing anything.
And staying consistent with your goals, having that persistence and that grit of, like, day in, day out, working on at least something small every single day. Compound effect of, like, doing the things that you want. And then just always, like, again, believing in yourself and
having patience and being consistent.
Having patience, being consistent, and then also just, and we'll talk more about manifesting. Come down the road, we're going to have lots of, like, talks on this. God. But just, like, think as if you already are. Because the moment that you start doing that, you have, like, there's this belief that starts to build within you. And you can emulate people that are successful. Look at, like, people that you want to be like. Yeah. Look at how they act, what do they do? How do they talk? How do they talk to their team? How do they talk to their clients? Right. Like, all of these things is going to help you become that person. And then before you know it, if you're working on that every single day, you're going to become that. And it's just like, holy crap, like, how did I become this person? And it's like, no, you've pushed towards that. You've done the things. So I think just episode 2, we just really wanted to kind of touch on how to overcome those pitfalls and how to believe in yourself. Because we have had all of the moments. We've had the heartache, we've dealt with the competition, we've dealt with like imposter syndrome. That's huge, especially coming from, like, our backgrounds,
having
which
doubt,
we talked about, and just
being, like, insecure about what it is you're doing.
Yep. And then just always just pushing through. And again, like you said, we're on this journey. We're just getting started. I know. Every day it's like a new thing comes. But I think that's the biggest thing for episode 2 is we just wanted to bring that impactful value to you guys. And yeah, we're going to wrap it up.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching episode 2 of the ModernPreneur Podcast. Please like and subscribe and like us on all socials. You can also go check out our Social Guru For You page and Higher Media Productions on Instagram. We are so excited to have you guys on this journey and to continue the conversation and sharing knowledge and just everything that it takes to be an entrepreneur.
Yep. Learning, growing, succeeding, doing it together. Like, this is just
overcoming that self-doubt and just getting started.
Yep. Just get started. Remember, just get started. Yes. I also wanted to point out, too, you can follow us on our personal socials. We'll put all the links below in the description. Right. And also reach out if you guys have any questions or comments or something that we said that you either agree with or disagree with. Like, we would love to have the opportunity to, like, speak with you one-on-one or
absolutely, please reach
out
in
the comments. But we're definitely here for you guys, and we're just excited to have episode 2.
Yeah, we're super excited for episode 3. We have so many amazing guests that are going to be on the show, and just so many more amazing conversations that are going to be had. I'm super excited. I'm excited to have you guys on the journey, and
this is a great space, and we're just excited. So we're gonna jump on out of here, and we will see you for episode 3.
Episode
3 coming soon. 3. Not West Side 3.
Oh.
All right. All right. Man. Thanks, guys. Tune in next time. We'll see you then. Bye.
Peace.